Tonight, we begin from something very small. You're lying in bed, and the light from your phone casts a thin glow across the ceiling. On your screen, there's just a short message, a little blunt, no emoji, nothing dramatic, but your heart stops for half a beat. A joke from your close friends, a dry yeah that feels more like an obligation than a reply. A time when everyone went out together, and you only heard about it after they had already come back. And just like that, even though your body is tired, your mind keeps looping one single scene. Did I do something wrong? Are they annoyed with me and just not saying it? Or am I less meaningful in this group than I thought? You still smile. You still text back normally. You still throw in a ha-ha so everything looks fine. But when the silence comes, when you no longer have to perform, those tiny comments suddenly sting your pride more than you expected. Sometimes you even blame yourself. Why am I so sensitive? How can one small sentence grab me by the throat for an entire evening? That's the most exhausting part. Not what people say, but how everything seems to echo inside you far louder than it should. Exhausting because one part of you knows they were probably just joking, but another part aches anyway. Exhausting because you don't want to cut anyone off, but you also don't know how to create distance without feeling like you're being overly dramatic. If you're lying there right now, the glow of your phone on the ceiling, replaying every word in slow motion, then this video was made exactly for that moment. Welcome to Lucid Dream, Sleep, and Science Stories, and the Marcus Aurelius Nights series. This is where we bring in a touch of Stoicism, the philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and many more, not to turn you into someone without emotions, but to soothe the tiny scratches, the ones that somehow burn long after they should have faded. Tonight, we're not trying to fix you. I'm not here to tell you to toughen up, to be less sensitive, or to just let it go. Instead, I just want to sit beside you for a while. Like two friends, talking softly in a dark room at 2 a.m., no need for any grand wisdom. Just someone who understands this feeling when everything around you seems personally aimed at you. We'll gently walk through a few very human things, why you get hurt so easily, even when on the outside you look composed and considerate. Why one comment, one joke, one full stop in a message can turn into an entire story in your mind. Why people act mostly from their own stories, not from your worth. And how you can gradually create a small pause between what they say and the feeling rising inside you, not so you stop being sad, but so that sadness no longer drags you across the whole night. If you want, you can now put your phone aside, pull the blanket up to your chest, let your body settle into whatever position feels most gentle, and allow this voice to stay with you quietly in the background. Tonight, we'll talk about taking things personally, about that sensation that everything is somehow about you, and slowly learn how to step out of the emotional waves created by others. Tonight, you don't have to prove that you're not weak. You only need to be honest with one thing. You're tired of letting tiny sentences decide your entire mood. If you're ready, let's begin this small journey together. Starting from a very simple question: why do I take things so personally? Maybe you've asked yourself this before. Why do other people hear something, laugh, forget it, while I carry that one sentence home, take it to bed, take it into my sleep? It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're being dramatic. Most people who take things personally are people who take the world seriously. You notice every small detail. You remember tone, not just words. You track the way someone subtly changes the way they text you. And when something shifts even slightly, you feel it instantly. Think back to a recent day. Was there a moment like this? You open your phone. A message pops up, shorter than usual, drier than usual. No emoji, no haha, nothing. Your heart drops half a beat. No one hears it. No one knows. On the outside, you finish whatever you were doing. You shower. You eat dinner. You see the message and leave it there, as if nothing happened. But somewhere in your mind, a quiet loop begins. Are they mad at me? Did I say something wrong? Or have they started finding me annoying? You go through the whole day as if everything is normal, but every time your hands aren't busy, your mind opens that chat window again, rereads it, examines it, and continues guessing. People who take things personally usually share a few traits. First, you are deeply sensitive to your own emotions and to other people's. You walk into a room and almost immediately know whether the atmosphere is warm or slightly tense. You hear a sentence, and you don't just hear the word, you hear the tone. Someone says, "Yeah, I know." But to you, it's, "Yeah, I know," or "Yeah, I know, haha." You can tell the difference. In your friend group, you might be the one who notices who's sad even when they're laughing the loudest, senses who's avoiding a topic, feels even the smallest shift in how people treat you. Being this sensitive is not a flaw. It's a finely tuned antenna. The only issue is, you often turn that antenna inward and blame yourself first. Second, you set high standards for yourself. You're not perfect, but deep inside, you hold a strict rule book for your own behavior. If I'm someone's friend, I should care properly. If I said I'd do something, I should follow through. If I agreed to something, I shouldn't bail. And because you use that measuring stick on yourself, you subconsciously expect others to use the same stick on you. So when you reply late, forget something small, or get too busy to respond, you start worrying. They must be disappointed in me. They must think I don't care. And when they text you a bit differently, you connect the dots. I wasn't good enough. Now they're showing it through short replies or teasing me, double quotes. See, it all starts from the fact that you treat yourself very seriously. So seriously that the moment someone is a bit colder than usual, you immediately conclude, the problem must be me. Third, deep down, you fear being a burden, being disliked, being left out. Maybe you seem cheerful and easygoing on the surface, but inside, there's always a quiet thought. Please, I hope no one finds me annoying. You think carefully before sending any message. You rewrite even simple texts like, "Hey, are you free? I want to tell you something." You always try to give others space, afraid of taking up too much airtime. And because you're already worried about being too much, when someone's tone shifts even slightly, that fear rises to the surface immediately. See, I knew it. They're probably getting tired of me. Some people hear a joke and laugh, and that's it. You take it home with you. Some people read a dry message and think, they're probably busy. You think, they're getting bored of me. Some people are left out of a hangout and say, just remember me next time. You lie in bed wondering, was I always the extra person? Those questions don't make you scream or burst into tears. They just sit there quietly, like a small stone in your shoe. And the funny thing is, you can still walk, still work, still laugh. It's just that every step has a tiny discomfort no one sees. The truth is, people who take things personally aren't irrationally fragile. They simply care too much about emotions, about connection, about whether things are okay. You observe deeply. You notice precisely. You remember intensely. You're not the whatever it's fine type. You're the type who, once you consider someone your person, every detail in how they treat you carries weight. And when that weight tilts even a little, your heart sounds the alarm. From the Stoic perspective, Epictetus has a famous line: if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. He doesn't mean you should accept being disrespected. He means, if you want to grow, you must accept this truth. People will misunderstand you, misjudge you, see you incorrectly, and none of that takes away your worth. But reaching that place requires seeing something deeper since childhood. Maybe you've always tried to make sure no one thinks badly of you. You learned how to keep people happy, how not to cause trouble, how to predict reactions, how to be the considerate one, the sensitive one, the one who gets it. And at the same time, you became someone who blames yourself very easily if someone changes their tone. You don't think, maybe they have their own problems. You immediately think, what did I do wrong? Imagine another scene. You're at a cafe with friends. Everyone is laughing, teasing each other loudly. Then someone jokes about you, a bit too harsh. Well, you never finish anything anyway. Everyone laughs. You laugh too, but behind your smile, something hesitates. The rest of the hangout continues normally. But when you get home, shower, lie down, that exact sentence returns first. You replay it, reinterpret it. Do they actually think I'm useless? Was that their polite way of saying they don't trust me? Then you pull out memories as evidence, the project you abandoned, the promise you made but didn't keep, the decision you took too long to make. Slowly, the joke stops being a joke from friends. It becomes a verdict you deliver to yourself. Here's the important part. The issue isn't whether that comment was right or wrong. Maybe they were truly joking. Maybe there was some truth in it. Maybe it came from familiarity, not cruelty. What matters more is, you already had a fear inside you, and their words accidentally touched it. The fear of being underestimated, the fear of not being good enough, the fear that if you don't perform perfectly, you'll be left behind. So when someone touches that area, it's not just a sentence. It presses into a bruise that has been there for years. So is the solution. To stop caring. Stop being sensitive. Stop noticing. If turning off emotions were as easy as flipping a switch, you would have done it long ago. You wouldn't be lying awake at night. You wouldn't be here listening to this. The truth is, you're sensitive because you see more than most people. You take things personally because you pour real heart into your connections. You feel hurt because the people who hurt you are people you care about. That's not weakness. That's proof that your heart is still alive, soft, and capable of love. The only issue is when you don't know how to hold that heart gently. Every word from the outside can become a blade in tonight's journey. I don't want you to become someone who doesn't see, doesn't hear, doesn't feel. I just want you to recognize something small but important. Every time you feel hurt, you're not overreacting. It's a deep part of you speaking up. Please look at me for a moment. I've tried so hard. I don't want to be dismissed again. So next time your heart drops when you read a cold message, instead of scolding yourself for being too sensitive, try telling yourself softly, I'm being touched. It's okay. I feel this way because I care. From understanding why you take things personally, we can now move to the next essential step, seeing clearly the distance between what actually happened and the story your mind adds on top of it. And that is what we'll explore in the next part. A moment ago, we were standing inside of you in that place that gets easily hurt, easily triggered, easily asking, did I do something wrong? Now, let's gently step, half a step, outside. Not to deny what you feel, but to look at how that feeling is born. Picture a very simple scene. You're lying in bed, your phone resting on your chest. On the screen, there's just one line. Yeah, I know. No emoji. No, haha. Your heart reacts first. It drops, then grows heavy. Right after that, your brain starts doing what it does best, telling stories. They're probably annoyed. They must think I'm being annoying. I must have said something over the line today. Maybe they're starting to get tired of me. The message only has 3 words, but in your head, you've already written 3 full pages of script. There's a line from Epictetus that people repeat very often in Stoic philosophy. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. He didn't say this so he could look down from above and tell us, just don't be sad. He was simply pointing at a very thin line that we often blur together. What happened and how we interpret what happened in that earlier example. What happened is simply, a friend replied, "Yeah, I know. That's it. No subtitles, no voiceover, no background music, no slow motion. But once it travels inside you, it gets packaged together with everything that was already there. Old fears, old experiences, old wounds, harsh words someone once threw at you. The times you felt like the extra person in a group, and suddenly, you're not just reading a message anymore. You're hearing a verdict about who you are. Let's try a little experiment. Take that exact, yeah, I know, and show it to 3 different people. The first person smiles. Ah, they're probably busy. That's just a quick reply. The second shrugs. Looks normal to me. The third person, the one we're talking to tonight, hears, yeah, I know, you're annoying. Stop talking. Same line, but each person adds a different layer of meaning. The words don't change. The phone doesn't change. The sender might not even be thinking that much. What really hurts is the way you read it, with your eyes, your ears, and all the bruises and calluses in your heart. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become someone who only sees facts and feels nothing. It simply invites you to separate these 2 layers more clearly. This is the event. This is the meaning I'm adding to it. The same goes for your friends. Jokes, reality on the outside. Your friend throws out a line. You never finish anything properly anyway. Everyone laughs. You laugh to interpretation on the inside. They really think I'm incompetent. I must be the useless one in the group, starting everything, finishing nothing. They've probably just been putting up with me this whole time. See how many layers of probably are in there. Those probably weren't in the original joke. They were added by your mind, like a scriptwriter trying to make the story heavier, more dramatic. This doesn't mean their joke wasn't clumsy or wrong. It doesn't mean you have to deny the sting you felt. It just means, if you don't notice how much seasoning you're adding to an event, you'll always believe it's that sentence that hurt me, when in reality, a big part of the pain comes from the sentences you whisper to yourself afterward. Imagine you're watching a movie on screen. A character walks into a room, doesn't look at you, doesn't say hello, just walks past, without music, without narration. That scene is just someone walking by. But then the director adds a sad soundtrack. The camera slowly zooms in on the main character's face. The lighting goes darker, and a voice says, "That was the moment I realized I no longer mattered." Suddenly, that scene becomes painful. In real life, we do the same thing unconsciously all the time. One sentence, one scene with no reply. One time someone forgets your name, and immediately, the voiceover in your head turns on. See, I'm always the last choice. No one really needs me. The sentence in real life is just the event. The voiceover is the judgment. Epictetus never said, "Stop being sad, stop reacting." What he gently suggests is this: if you can adjust the voiceover, you'll have a completely different experience with the exact same scene. In other words, you don't have to believe every thought you have about something the moment it appears. You are allowed to step back half a step, look, and ask, which part is what actually happened? Which part is the story I'm adding? Even if you're not calm enough to answer yet, just noticing, oh, I'm starting to add extra narration here, already softens the wave a little. Let's return to you tonight. You're lying there, replaying your friend's joke. In your head, you hear the exact words. You never finish anything properly anyway. Then, if you listen more closely, you'll hear another layer. Not their voice, but yours. They're right. They said that because I really am useless, I always leave everything half done. No one really believes I can achieve anything anyway. This is the judgment. This is the part where your mind uses their words to reinforce the doubts you already had about yourself. And the most painful part often isn't the first sentence. It's everything that comes after. Stoicism gently points out, between stimulus and response, there is always a tiny space. In that space lives your judgment, the way you choose to interpret, and inside that judgment lies your freedom. You can't control what people will say, text, or joke about, but you can learn to recognize, oh, this is the moment I'm starting to write extra script. You don't have to erase the script right away. You just need to remember, you're the one holding the pen. Imagine, you're holding a blank sheet of paper. In the top left corner, there's a tiny ink dot. That's the event, the sentence, the message, the look, the time they forgot you. The remaining 90% of the page is empty. You can draw anything you want on it. You can smear it into a big dark stain and say, see, the whole page is ruined. Or you can gently circle that dot, write a small note. Yeah, that hurt a little. Then leave the rest of the page for other things. The work you're doing, the people who truly value you, the good things you've done for yourself. The question is, do you realize you're the one drawing? Or does everything happen so fast that all you see is the result? A page covered in black, and the conclusion? It's all because of that one dot. There's a gentle practice that works well on nights like this. Next time your heart skips because of a sentence, instead of letting your mind run wild, you can try writing down, or just saying silently in your head, 2 lines. Fact, event. Story, I'm adding judgment. For example, fact, they went out to eat, took pictures, posted them on their story, and didn't tag me. Story, I'm adding, they must have deliberately left me out. I must not matter in this group. I should just stay away from now on so I don't embarrass myself. When you separate it like that, you're not making the sadness disappear, but you begin to see how many must have, probably, and I guess are added in. And sometimes, just seeing that probably already makes your feelings a little less absolute. Seneca once wrote in a letter, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We suffer more in what we imagine than in what actually happens. This line isn't meant to deny reality. Pain is still pain. That sting is still a sting. It's just that very often we prolong the pain by replaying and expanding the script in our mind, far more than anything that actually happened outside. And when you notice you've started living mainly inside that imagined space, you can gently remind yourself, yeah, I'm adding extra now. It's okay. I can pause here for a bit. Sometimes, changing just one sentence in your head changes the whole experience on the outside. Instead of, they replied, so cold. They must hate me. You might try. They replied, so cold. I don't actually know why. All I know is I feel a little hurt right now. So I'll take care of this hurt first, before I decide anything about my worth. You don't have to rush to a verdict. You're allowed to not know yet. When you begin to see the gap between what was said and how you interpret what was said, you gradually feel less like a helpless victim of every word that comes your way. You still hear it, you still feel it, you still get sad, but alongside that sadness, another gentle presence appears, a quiet observer in you, watching and saying, "Yeah, I understand why this hurts so much. Because I've been looked down on before, because I've blamed myself so harshly before. So of course this sentence triggers me, but is this really the whole truth about who I am?" From that place, you can go a little further, turn and look at the other people involved, and begin to see that they, too, are acting out of the stories inside them, not always to judge your worth. That's what I'll invite you to sit with and look at more closely in the next part. In the first two parts, we stood very close to your feelings, that small sting in your chest, the long stories you spin from one very short sentence. Now, let's gently rotate the angle a little, not to deny what you feel, but to add another layer, the people on the other side of the screen. Who are they? And what are they carrying with them? There's one idea that sounds simple, but if it truly sinks in, it changes a lot of things. People act from who they are, not from who you are. People act mostly from their own personality, past, exhaustion, stress, ego, habits, not always from your actual worth. In other words, most of what they say, do, text, reflects their state far more than it reflects your value. What they say reveals more about their state than about your worth. This isn't there to make you excuse everything, but to remind you, don't rush to use their words as an absolute measuring stick for yourself. Let's go back to the example of a dry, short message. You get a line, "Yeah," or "Yeah, I know." You read it with a tired heart, a heart that has been afraid of being disliked, has been left out of conversations before in your head. It becomes, "Yeah, I know, you're annoying. Stop talking." But if the camera pulled back from the chat window for a moment, you might see a very different context on the other side of the screen. That friend might be stuck in traffic with the sun shining straight into their face, just coming out of an argument with family, halfway through a stressful deadline, or simply someone who has always texted like that, and today you're just more sensitive to it than usual. The "yeah, I know" passes through their filter of fatigue, then flies into your filter of sensitivity, and just like that, a neutral line gets stretched into an arrow. This doesn't mean they don't need to learn how to communicate more thoughtfully, but it also doesn't mean every punctuation mark they type is a personal indictment against you. A person who texts, in short, blunt phrases sometimes is just someone who isn't good with words, someone who's used to saying little, someone who is just trying to survive an exhausting day, or someone who has always been that way. And it just happens that today, you're a bit more fragile, so it hits deeper. You have the right to feel hurt, but you also have the right not to jump straight to, "I must be the problem." The same goes for your close friends teasing Dot in the group. They throw all kinds of lines at each other. "At least my love life isn't as tragic as yours." What do you even have to talk about in your life? Come on, stop dreaming, man. Everyone laughs. You laugh too, on the outside. This is the language of closeness they use. Everyone gets roasted. Everyone has been at the center of the joke at some point, but on the inside, for someone who already carries a fear of being looked down on, those lines easily slide into a cut. "So that's how they really see me. I'm nothing." Their language is very often not deeply thought out. You, on the other hand, always think deeper than they realize. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was reminding himself, today I will meet human beings who are also struggling with themselves. They might be acting selfishly. They might be defensive. They might be so insecure that they use words to hide their own fear. And when someone throws a line at you that stings, very often that line was born from their worries, their insecurity, their exhaustion, far more than from any truth about you. Let's switch the camera angle a bit. You're sitting there staring at the chat, eyes glued to the words, heart aching, mind adding layers of story. Now imagine the camera filming you, then slowly, zooming out, it pulls back from your face, back out of your room, back away from your building, your street. Then it cuts to each of your friends' rooms in that group chat. One is lying flat on the bed, after a 10-hour shift, eyes burning, only having enough energy to type a few words. Another is sitting next to their mother in the hospital, head spinning, still trying to reply when they can. Another is in the middle of a fight with their partner, and your text arrives right when they have no capacity left for anyone. Another is just fine, not particularly happy or sad. And they've always texted that briefly with everyone. Each person has their own story. Each person has their own way of being tired. All you see are the letters on the screen, but behind each line, there is an entire life that sometimes they don't even fully understand themselves, let alone understand you. Stoicism doesn't say, forget it, don't care, whatever, let people be. It simply reminds you, before you quickly believe that they said that because I'm worthless, because I don't matter, remember another possibility. They might be speaking from their pain, not from the truth about you. Someone who constantly mocks others might be hiding their own insecurity about their looks, about their career, about their life. Someone who's always harsh might have grown up in a house full of shouting, so that way of talking feels normal to them. Someone who constantly disrespects others with their words might have grown up in an environment where no one ever taught them how to respect themselves, of course. Understanding doesn't mean accepting everything, but understanding helps you stop seeing everything as punishment, custom-made for you. There's a tiny but freeing point. You are not the center of every sentence. That sounds harsh, but it's also a form of protection. Many times, people don't reply for a long time, not because they forgot you, but because all day they haven't even remembered who they are, where they're going. Many times, the line that hurts you wasn't aimed at you. It was simply an arrow they shot out unconsciously, and whoever stood nearby was going to get hit. They are acting out of habit, out of mood, out of the story they are holding in their own head. You just happen to be standing in the path of that arrow, Epictetus once said. Remember, it is not he who reviles or strikes you who insults you, but your opinion that these things are insulting. Here, he emphasizes opinion, your viewpoint, your interpretation. But there's another layer we can read into it. The one who insults, who speaks harshly, is often revealing more about themselves. They use that kind of language because it's what they've been fed, been exposed to, been taught for a long time. You might feel insulted. That feeling is real. But the question is, are you required to use their words to define who you are? Try remembering a time when you yourself snapped. You said things you later regretted in that moment. Were you thinking deeply about the other person? Or were you drowning in your own emotions, tired, helpless, hurt, angry, and your words were just an outlet? In the same way, A lot of people speak and act when they're not clear-headed. They don't sit down, analyze, and carefully choose the words that will pierce your heart the most. They just react out of habit, out of the way they've always been. You feel pain that is real, but that pain doesn't automatically mean this is exactly what I deserve. This does not mean, well, they have their own issues, so I must tolerate everything. Stoicism does not encourage swallowing everything in silence. It teaches a very important middle step. Separate yourself from other people's stories. Instead of, they said, I'm useless, gives, I really am useless. It can be. They chose those words because that's how they're used to venting, because they're tired, because they lack the skill of respecting others. Who I am, how much I'm worth, does not live entirely inside that one sentence. When you start to see that other people act mostly from themselves, you stop automatically dragging everything back onto yourself. Not every comment becomes, it must be my fault. It must be because I'm not enough. Instead, between their words and your heart, a small question appears. What does this say about them? And does this really say everything about me? Just that one question is already a kind of pause, a pause for you to breathe, to have enough space to remember. You were not born to be a mirror that reflects everyone else's mood. From understanding that others act from themselves, we can begin to learn a very important Stoic skill, creating a safe space between the moment you feel triggered and the way you respond. This isn't suppression. It's a kind of gentleness with yourself, giving yourself a few seconds to distinguish between their story and your value. Tonight, in the next part, I'll invite you to practice walking step by step inside that space, from the moment the message arrives, heart stings, all the way to the moment you choose a response that doesn't hurt you even more. In the previous part, we gently pulled the camera outward. We saw that many times, people speak and act from their own exhaustion, habits, and inner stories, not always to judge you, but knowing that is still not enough, because emotions don't listen to theory. They only know, I'm hurting, and things usually move very fast. Message arrives, gives heart stings, gives brain shifts into storytelling mode, gives fingers want to react immediately. Stoicism doesn't ask you to stop feeling. It simply offers a small gift, a pause, right in between the moment the feeling rises and the moment the reaction explodes. Marcus Aurelius has a very familiar line. You have power over your mind, not outside events. You can't choose everything that happens to you. You can't control other people's moods, their words, their texting style, the times they forget you. But you can learn to step into that tiny space of silence between what they do and what you do next. That space is exactly the power over your mind Marcus is talking about. Let's slow this down together. You're lying in bed, about to sleep. A notification pops up. It's your best friend's name, or someone you care about, a little more than you admit. You open it. The reply feels colder than usual, or their joke crosses the line of what feels safe to you. In an instant, your body reacts first. Your heart tightens a little. Your face feels slightly warm. Your stomach feels strange. Then in your head, the familiar voice begins. See, I am annoying. They're definitely getting tired of me. Normally, what happens next is you reply from that stinging place, or you go silent, ignore them, and post some vague status somewhere. The Stoic moment they invite you to practice is the moment, right before you reply, instead of reacting immediately. Try 3 very small steps, as light as turning over in bed. Step 1. Notice I'm triggered right now. That's it. No deep analysis. No forcing yourself. to stop being sad. You simply admit honestly, yeah, that line hurt. You can say it silently in your head, or softly, out loud if you're alone. You're naming the feeling, like turning on a small lamp in a dark room. Instead of the whole room being one messy, overwhelming discomfort, you have a small point of light where you can see, okay, this is pain. Okay, this is feeling slighted. Okay, this is hurt, plus anger, plus fear of being left behind. Just recognizing I'm triggered already makes the wave less invisible. Step 2, breathe slowly. Give your brain 3 to 5 seconds. It sounds silly. I breathe every day, but this is a different kind of breathing. Intentional. You can try this. Put the phone down, screen facing down, or set it to the side. Inhale through your nose, silently counting to 4. Hold for 1 beat. Exhale slowly, counting to 6. No need to be perfect or technical. What matters is, you interrupt the loop of see, gives hurt, gives reply, with 1 conscious breath in those few seconds. Your body gets a chance to tell your nervous system, there is no tiger here. This is just a line of text on a screen. I am physically safe. I'm only being poked on the inside. The feeling doesn't disappear, but its intensity drops from level 9, maybe down to 6 or 7. And that's often enough to keep you from sending a message that you'll later reread and think, that wasn't the best version of me. Step 3, gently ask, what is the fact? What am I adding to the story? This is where we reconnect with Epictetus from part 2, but instead of analyzing like a philosophy lecture, we use it as a soft little question to ourselves. You can write it down if you have a notebook nearby, or just do it in your mind. Fact, event. They texted, yeah, I know what I'm adding. Judgment. They think I'm annoying. They're tired of me. I'm not important enough to deserve a proper reply. Just by separating it like this, all the they must, definitely, for sure, start to show themselves. You don't need to deny your feelings, but you start to see this feeling didn't come only from the words. It also came from the story you're building on top of them. As you practice these 3 gentle steps a few times, you'll realize what you're doing isn't pushing your feelings down. You're actually putting them gently down on the bed, letting them sit beside you for a while before deciding what to do with them. Maybe, after breathing, you still choose to say clearly, hey, that comment felt a bit harsh. Maybe you realize, I'm exhausted today. I'll talk about this tomorrow instead. Maybe you sense they're probably upset about something else, not me. I'm not going to drag this onto myself. The difference is, you're no longer reacting like a puppet on a string. You're responding like someone who has inner space. This image might help. You're standing on the shore, and other people's words, messages, looks are the waves crashing against it, without a pause. Every wave that hits pulls you under. You're coughing, struggling to stand. The Stoic pause is like stepping back a few meters, standing higher up, watching the waves hit the shore. The water still splashes your feet. You still get wet, but you're not swept away anymore. The breath is the step back. The question, what is the fact? What am I adding? Is the higher ground. Nighttime is the perfect moment to practice these things, when everything around you is quiet, when all the day's conversations are over, and it's just you with your replays. You can use those replays as a kind of light practice before sleep. Next time you find yourself replaying an old sentence, instead of diving completely into it, try doing this right there in bed. Close your eyes, repeat the sentence that hurt. You event, closing parenthesis. Notice the sensations in your body, chest, stomach, throat. Acknowledge, I'm triggered right now. Take one deep inhale, one long exhale. Ask yourself, besides that sentence, what story am I adding about myself? Place your hand on your chest and whisper, "It's okay. I understand why this hurts. But I don't have to believe everything my mind says about me." It doesn't have to be technically perfect. It just needs to be honest. Honest with your feelings. And honest with the fact that you're practicing a different way of living than before. A way of living with inner space. Some people are afraid of the pause, thinking, if I don't react right away, I'll look weak, I'll be walked over. But in reality, the instant reaction is when you lose your ground the most. When you reply while you're heated, you often say things that don't reflect what you truly want to communicate. When you go into silent treatment, ghost them, you might be punishing yourself more than them. You lose a connection, and the other person sometimes doesn't even know what happened. The pause doesn't weaken you. It's the time you use to return to yourself, to ask, does this reaction really protect me, or does it just hurt me more? There's something interesting when you start creating pauses inside. You don't just treat others differently, you treat yourself differently too. Before, every time you were triggered, you'd scold yourself. God, I'm so sensitive. Why does this hurt so much? I'm tired of myself. Next time, in that pause, you might try a different line. Yeah, I am sensitive, and that sensitivity is also a beautiful part of me. I just need to learn how to protect it better. You won't say that every time, but even saying it once can make that night much lighter. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." You don't have to revoke your reaction immediately. You don't have to force yourself to be less distressed in a second. What you can do tonight is simple. Acknowledge, I am distressed, uncomfortable, in pain. Create a small breathing space. Don't react right away. Look closely. Which part is their sentence, and which part is my estimate of it? In the moment, you can do that, even for just 5 seconds. You're already living in the spirit of Marcus's words, using that small but very real power over your own mind. From here, once that pause exists, you'll start to see another reality more clearly. Not everything is about you. Not every burst of anger, irritation, or coldness from others is a verdict about you. You are not a target meant to absorb every emotion around you. You have the right to step back a little, to see them with their story, and yourself with yours. That's what we'll gently open up together in the next part, learning how to separate yourself from other people's emotional waves, so you're no longer swept away by every storm that passes through your life. When you begin to create a small pause between feeling and reacting, you naturally start to see something else. There are so many things that are not actually about you, but your mind keeps dragging everything back to I must be the problem. The moment someone's irritated, someone replies dryly, someone is colder than usual, your brain instantly runs its loop. It's probably my fault. I must have done something wrong and forgotten. They're probably slowly trying to distance themselves from me. But if you look closely, you'll see, in so many people, in so many moments, they're fighting their own life, not fighting you. You just happen to walk across the battlefield. Imagine someone who's angry at the whole world. Maybe it's your coworker. Maybe it's your father or mother. Maybe it's a stranger on the street. They've just been yelled at by their boss. They've been grinding through deadlines all week with no sleep. They're stuck in a messy family situation all day. They've been carrying a container full of unpleasant things, frustration, unfairness, worry, exhaustion. That container is heavy, and nobody ever taught them how to put it down. So the easiest way to feel lighter is to dump it outwards. A sharp comment to a waiter, slamming something down harder than usual. A short, clipped reply to you. You appear right when the container is filled to the brim. They tilt their hand. Dirty water splashes on you. It still hurts. You're still wet. But if you automatically conclude, they treat me like this because I'm not good enough, then you've forgotten something important. What they just dumped on you was never truly yours to begin with. Epictetus has a very basic Stoic principle. If it is not up to you, it is not truly yours. What is not within your control is not truly yours. Other people's moods, the tone they use, the days they blow up for no clear reason, the times they disappear and return like nothing happened. All of these things, in the end, are outside your control. You can influence them through conversation, listening, feedback, but you cannot take the wheel and drive their emotions for them. You cannot press a button and switch someone's mood in one evening. Yet so often, we take the entire emotional weather of another person and hang it inside our own house, then blame ourselves. It must be raining because of me. There is a type of person you've probably met, the teaser, the one who always jabs. They rarely state their feelings directly. Instead, they use mocking jokes, half-joking, half-serious tones. Wow, you can do this. Stop acting. Don't dream. You'll never get there. On the outside, it sounds like, relax, I'm just joking. On the inside, you feel scratched raw. If you only focus on the words, you'll think, in their eyes, I must be nothing. But if you look a little deeper, there's a very real chance that they are using you as a mirror so they don't have to feel so bad about themselves. People who constantly put others down are often people who can't stand on their own. They drag everyone down to their level, so they're not the only one at the bottom. This doesn't make what they say okay, but it does help you see. Those sharp little needles of sarcasm are sharpened by their fear, not by the truth about you. When you believe that however people treat me is exactly what I deserve, you hand your entire sense of worth to the steering wheel of other people's emotions. Today, they're in a good mood. They compliment you a little. You feel alive again. Tomorrow, they're tired. They ignore you. You crash to the bottom. Your whole value hangs on the rise and fall of their moods. That is an exhausting way to live, and it is deeply unfair to you. You can see this most clearly in families. Some adults spend their whole lives snapping at everyone because they themselves have never been treated gently. They say very heavy things. Useless, good for nothing. You can't do anything right, so don't talk. You heard sentences like that when you were very young. At that age, you couldn't distinguish between they're overwhelmed by life and I really am worthless. Children don't analyze. Children just believe. And so you grew up with a quiet belief. If someone is angry, it must definitely be my fault. If someone speaks harshly, I must deserve it. Now, even as an adult, that belief still runs like background software. The moment someone frowns, you immediately scan yourself for errors. The moment someone replies bluntly, you instantly conclude, I'm wrong. Stoicism helps you do something very important. Slowly untie the knots binding other people's emotions to my breath. You can begin with one very simple sentence. Their feelings are theirs first. It's not that you don't care. It's that you put things in the right order before asking, what did I do wrong? Ask yourself, what are they bringing from their life into this moment? Are they tired? Are they stressed? Are they dealing with unresolved issues of their own? And add one more question. What do their words reveal about their state more than about my value? Try a little imagination exercise. You're standing in the middle of someone else's emotional storm. The wind is their words. The rain is their attitude. The thunder is the insults, the unfair messages, the cold behavior. If you stand right in the eye of the storm, of course you'll be battered, soaked, cold, shaking, exhausted. Every comment, every scene with no reply, is a sudden gust of wind. Now imagine yourself slowly walking toward the edge. You're not running away. You're not denying that the storm is real. You're simply not standing in the center anymore. You move to the side, under a temporary shelter. You still hear the wind howling. You still see the rain slanting across the sky. But you're not being hurled around anymore. The storm is still a storm. But the distance between you and the storm has changed in real life. Stepping to the side can look like very small actions, such as not replying immediately when you're angry, not automatically apologizing when you don't yet understand what you did wrong, not rushing to conclude they hate me from one bad moment, allowing someone to have a bad day without immediately dragging it into it must be because of me. You can say to yourself, they're dealing with their stuff. I can listen, I can ask, but I don't have to stand in the middle of the storm they're creating. If needed, you can even say it directly, calmly. Right now, it seems like you're really upset. I get it, but the way you're talking is making me uncomfortable. If you want, we can continue this when we've both calmed down a bit. That's not abandonment. That's knowing where you stand in this story. Epictetus divides life into two zones: the things that are up to you within your control, and the things that are not up to you outside of it. Other people's moods, their past, their unhealed wounds, how they were raised, how they react when angry. All of that lives in the not up to you zone. What is up to you is only this: will you allow those things to crawl inside you and become the truth about who I am? When someone throws a sentence at you that hurts, you have two options. Believe, they said it, so it must be true of me. Or, they said it from where they are standing. Who I am, I will determine that from more than one source, from my actions, my efforts, and the people who genuinely value me. The second choice doesn't erase the pain immediately, but it keeps a little freedom for you. You are not locked inside there. Definition: come back to yourself now, lying in your room, phone in your hand, replaying someone's words. This time, instead of only asking, why did they say that to me? Add another question alongside it. Who were they that day? What were they carrying into that conversation? You might remember, that day they had just complained about being yelled at by their boss. My dad was already stressed about money all day. My friend was clearly overwhelmed with family issues. I saw it, realizing that not every line, not every moment, is a direct, precise aim at you helps you slowly loosen the habit of pulling yourself into the center of everything. This doesn't mean from now on I'm not allowed to feel hurt. You still have the right to hurt. You still have the right to feel sad. You still have the right to say, that was not okay. It's just that, alongside that feeling, you add one more layer of understanding. This pain is mine because I've been belittled before, spoken too harshly before, and today's sentence is partly them, their way of living, their way of handling anger. I won't mix the two together and conclude that I deserve this. Stepping out of other people's emotional waves doesn't make you cold. On the contrary, it allows you to love them more without losing yourself. When you're no longer sucked into every storm they create, you can stand still, steadier, calm enough to say, if you want to talk, I'm here. But I won't let you dump everything on me as if I'm your emotional trash can. That is a kind of kindness with boundaries, and those boundaries are healthy. tonight, if a few faces come to mind, people who have hurt you deeply, you can try something small in your heart. Admit, yes, they really did hurt me. See, but from beginning to end, they were also just carrying their own wounds everywhere. Remind yourself, I am not the map of those wounds. I was just someone passing by. You don't have to forgive them now. You don't have to smile it off or forget everything. Just stop placing yourself at the center of every blow. Stop using their hits as a ruler for your worth. When you begin to step out of other people's emotional waves, something very natural appears. A need to reset your boundaries, soft, but not allowing disrespect. Close, but not letting others say anything they want. This is no longer just about feelings, but about boundaries, quiet lines, solid as stone, between me and them. In the next part, we'll walk into how someone can be both gentle and protective of themselves, speaking clearly without being loud, lowering expectations without growing bitter, and no longer swallowing every joke and disrespectful comment into their own chest. Up to now, we've mostly been going inward, understanding why you're easily hurt, why you tend to drag everything back to its probably my fault, and how to create a pause so your heart can rest for one beat before reacting. But understanding and breathing alone are not enough. If people keep repeating the same ways of talking, joking, and behaving that hurt you, then sooner or later, those tiny scratches will turn into real tears. This is where boundaries come in. Not the kind of boundaries that say, fine, from now on I cut them off, block them, delete everything, but a kind of quiet boundaries, very calm, very gentle, but very clear. I still care about you, but this is my line. Beyond this, you don't get to go. A lot of people misunderstand Stoicism as silent endurance, the kind of attitude where you let people say whatever, you laugh at every joke, you treat every disrespect as a test from the universe, then swallow everything, and at night, you hurt in silence. In reality, Stoicism does not encourage submission. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Before you interpret tolerant as unconditional endurance, pause. It doesn't mean let people do whatever they want to you. It means you understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, you have your own principles, and you protect those principles with calm, steady limits. You are kind, but you are not a doormat. Quiet boundaries begin with a very small sentence. This makes me uncomfortable. Maybe for years, you've almost never said that out loud. You're used to only thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Whatever. They're just joking. If I say something, it'll ruin the vibe. So this time you swallow it. Next time you swallow it. And the time after that, you swallow it again. Eventually you can't swallow anymore. But because you've stayed silent for so long, you explode. You cut people off. You isolate yourself. Or you pull away from everything with the conclusion, I probably just don't belong anywhere. Quiet boundaries help you avoid having to reach that extreme. Picture a gathering. The group is sitting together. Warm lights, everyone chatting and laughing. At some point, the topic shifts to you. Someone throws a joke that crosses the line. Come on. There's nothing in your life worth talking about. Everyone bursts out laughing. You laugh too, but inside, something freezes in the past. What came next would be, you laugh a bit louder to cover your feelings, then go home and hurt alone. Quiet boundaries look different. You can still laugh to keep the moment from getting awkward, but later, in a quieter moment or after the hangout, you talk to your close friend in a very normal tone. Hey, earlier when you said there's nothing in your life worth talking about, I know you were joking. but that kind of joke really gets under my skin. Can we not joke that way? No snapping. No accusations, like you always look down on me. You simply let them know where your line is. You might ask, isn't it weird to say that? What if they think I'm too sensitive? The truth is, if someone truly sees you as one of their people, they'll want to know where your limits are. A mature friend, when they hear that, will tend to respond like, I'm sorry. I'm just used to talking that way. I didn't mean it like that. I'll pay attention next time. Or at the very least, they'll pause and think. But if someone hears you share honestly and still keeps making the same jokes, and even says, relax, there's nothing wrong, you're overreacting, then quiet boundaries take the next step. You quietly lower your expectations. Lowering expectations doesn't mean you start hating them. You can still meet them, still talk, still laugh, but you know, okay, this person is no longer in the group that gets access to the softest parts of me. You don't hand them the keys to your heart anymore. Before, you paid a lot of attention to what they said about you and used it to measure your worth. Now, after a few conversations that go nowhere, you choose to gently step back. You share fewer deep things. You let their words influence your mood less. You expect less understanding from them. You don't label them as bad. You just place them in the position they are actually capable of holding in your life. Quiet boundaries are not loud. They don't need big declarations like, from now on, I'm done with you. I don't need this relationship anymore. Sometimes they're just small decisions only you know. You stop initiating conversations when you realize you always feel smaller after talking to them. You don't share your most important dreams with someone who always responds with a smirk. You stop trying to explain everything to someone who has already shown you many times that they don't really want to understand. You redirect your energy toward other connections where you feel heard, respected, allowed to be yourself without being on guard all the time. You might feel a flash of fear. What if I set boundaries and end up with no one? But look deeper in the relationships where you have to slowly swallow your self-respect just to keep them. You're already alone inside those relationships. Quiet boundaries don't make you lonely. They create space for people who truly value you to step in. Here's a small micro-image to help you feel it. You're still sitting with the same crowd, still holding your drink, still laughing when someone tells a funny story. But inside, you're clear. This is where my line is. I'm not swallowing everything anymore. When a joke goes too far, you don't force yourself to fake laugh. You might say gently, hey, that's a bit too much. Or hey, that kind of joke is tiring. Let's change the subject. If they respect you, they'll adjust. If they don't, you register that as information and rearrange where they stand in your life. No big fights, no drama, but also no pretending everything is fine when it's not. Someone might ask, but what if the person who disrespects me is family? I can't just lower expectations or see them less, right? With family, boundaries are even more important. Quiet boundaries, there might look like when your parents start using really harsh words. You choose not to argue in the heat of the moment, but later, when everyone is calmer, you say, when you say you're useless, it really hurts me. I know you're angry, but that way of talking hurts a lot. Can we try saying it differently? You give yourself permission to walk out of the room when the conversation crosses your limit, instead of standing there absorbing everything just because of filial duty. You look for healthier ways of connecting within the family, calm conversations, topics that don't trigger so many wounds, and you build from there. Instead of expecting heated arguments to magically turn gentle, you are still their child. You still love them, but you do not give anyone, not even family, the right to crush your sense of worth with their words in your inner world. Boundaries can start with one very small line. This sentence doesn't get to pass anymore. Next time someone makes a joke that really crosses the line, you can step back inside yourself and whisper, "Okay, I'm noting this. This is a point where I do not feel okay. I'm not going to pretend I'm fine just to stay." Maybe, in that moment, you still can't say it out loud, but at the very least, you're taking your own side from that stance. One day, when you're ready, you'll know what to say, to whom, and how close they're allowed to stand to your heart. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." When it comes to boundaries, the right thing is not trying to please everyone or staying in every relationship at any cost. The right thing here is often simply stop betraying yourself. Stop laughing when you're actually hurting. Stop turning your heart into a dumping ground for everyone else's disrespect. You can be gentle, you can be soft, you can love deeply, but you are allowed to say, "No, enough. I'm not accepting this," in a quiet voice. And through the silent choices you make about how you rearrange the people around you, as your boundaries become clearer, something beautiful begins to appear. You no longer need people to always be sweet to you in order to feel worthy. You know who you are, how hard you're trying, how much you respect yourself. From there, bit by bit, your self-worth stops hanging on other people's moods. And that leads us to the next part of the journey, rebuilding your self-image, so your value no longer lives in likes, dislikes, in jokes, in temporary attitudes, but rests on deeper, steadier things that belong to you. When you start setting boundaries, when you stop fake laughing at harsh jokes, when you stop silently swallowing every heavy word, a quiet question will begin to surface inside you. If I don't measure myself by how others treat me, then who am I? It sounds like a philosophical question, but it's actually very ordinary and human. Can I still feel enough when no one is clapping for me? From childhood up, most of us were taught our self-worth through other people's reactions. Do well on a test, gives, get, praised, gives, ah. I'm smart, make a mistake, get scolded, gives, I'm bad, be obedient. Agreeable, gives, get loved, gives, I'm lovable when I'm easy. Be stubborn, talk back, gives, get the cold shoulder, gives, I deserve to be abandoned when I'm difficult. Over time, without noticing, your brain installs a very exhausting measurement system. If people are pleased with me, gives, I'm okay. If people are annoyed with me, gives, I must be wrong, less, not worth much. People who take things personally are often the ones who hang their self-worth on every frown, every message, every joke from others, as if everyone around them is holding a remote control that adjusts who I am. Do you notice yourself living like that? On days you text a close friend and they're cheerful, full of emojis and haha, you feel like you're interesting. On other days, the exact same person replies dryly, slowly, and you feel extra unnecessary. In the morning, your boss praises you for good work, and you feel like you have a future. In the afternoon, your boss frowns over one small mistake, and you shrink into yourself, feeling like you're nothing. Your entire sense of me rises and falls like a sine wave, just because you use other people's momentary moods as a long-term ruler for yourself. Stoicism sees this very differently. For the Stoics, identity, your self-image, doesn't sit on temporary like-dislike, but on values and actions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." This line sounds simple, but living it is a long journey. Let's break Marcus's sentence apart a bit. Just that you do the right thing. Here, right thing does not mean make everyone happy. Sometimes doing the right thing will make some people unhappy. You say no to an unreasonable request, gives the other person is disappointed. You refuse to laugh along with a disrespectful joke, gives someone's ego gets bruised. You don't reply in the middle of the night because you need sleep, gives someone gets mad. You didn't put them at the top of your priority list, but if you know you are doing what's right for your values, right for your limits, right for the principles you choose to live by, then the emotional waves around you lose the right to define what kind of person you are. Here's a small picture. You're standing on solid ground. That ground is your values. You respect yourself and others. You want to live with decency. You try to do your work as well as you can. You're not perfect, but you're improving step by step. Around you is water. The water is everyone else's moods. Today, they're happy. Tomorrow, they're sad, sometimes excited, sometimes drained, sometimes angry, sometimes gentle. If you're standing on solid ground, the water rises and falls, but you can still feel your feet on the earth. If you don't have that inner ground, you'll have to float on that water. When the waves go up, you go up. When they go down, you go down. And your whole life becomes a struggle not to drown in other people's moods. Right thing. The right thing is that ground. You can start by asking yourself a few very simple questions. How am I trying to live? What values do I genuinely care about? Am I trying to be decent, even if I still mess up? Is there anything I've done for others, even something small, that no one knows about but me? Very often, beneath the layer of I'm awful, everyone hates me, there is a person who is still quietly trying. You still show up to work, even when you're exhausted, because you don't want to burden anyone. You still reply to other people's messages. Even when your own mind is tangled, you still think a lot about how not to unintentionally hurt others. These things rarely get applause. No one sends you clapping no one posts a story praising you for being a decent human, but they are a crucial part of the answer to the question, who am I? People who take things personally often have a very beautiful trait. They are strict with themselves. If they say something harsh, they remember. If they accidentally hurt someone, they feel guilty. If they break a promise, they beat themselves up harder than anyone else would. That is very fertile ground for building an identity based on values. The problem is, you use that strictness more to beat yourself down than to lift yourself up. You see your mistakes very clearly, but rarely acknowledge all the times you chose the right thing in silence. Rebuilding your self-image is not about shouting slogans like, I'm amazing, I deserve everything. It's much softer than that, and much more real. You can start with very specific, very ordinary sentences. I worry a lot about hurting others. That's a good part of me. I've gone through all of that, and I still care about people. That means I'm not as cold as I think. I have a lot to fix, but I'm not standing still. I'm learning. Each sentence like that is a small brick laid back into the foundation inside you. One night, maybe someone has spoken harshly to you during the day, and like always, their words echo in your head all evening. That's time. Instead of letting that one line take over everything, you can add another frame. Close your eyes and replay your entire day. In the morning, you got up, even though you were exhausted, to finish your work. At noon, you let someone else have the better portion of food without saying anything. In the afternoon, you were tired but still replied to a friend who needed to vent. Those little scenes earn no applause, but they are real data about the person you're trying to become. That person's harsh sentence is just one piece of data in the day. It isn't enough to erase all the other scenes. Marcus doesn't say, as long as people treat you well, you'll be okay. He says, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. The rest includes what people think, whether they understand you or misunderstand you, whether they applaud you, whether they ever truly see your journey. Many of the right things you do will never be fully seen by anyone, but you know, and that is your anchor. When your identity is built on trying to live decently, not on our people, always gentle with me, you become less dragged around by every frown and dry reply. There's a truth that's a little bitter, but if you can accept it, it becomes lighter. There will be people who don't like you. Even when you do the right thing, there will be people who misunderstand you. Even when you've explained yourself clearly, there will be people who leave. Even when you've given them everything you could. If your self-worth depends on everyone must like me, must understand me, must stay with me, then it is guaranteed to shatter one day. But if your self-worth depends on something else, no matter how people react, I'm trying not to betray my own values, then even on the days you're spoken to harshly, misunderstood, or left behind, you can still hold on to a small sentence, at the very least. I know I tried to live in a way that felt honest to me, Seneca wrote in one of his letters. The first step towards self-respect is to refuse to be a passenger in your own life. When you let other people's moods drive your entire sense of who you are, you're sitting in the passenger seat. They're driving. They turn left. You go left. They turn right. You go right. Rebuilding your self-image is the moment you quietly move back into the driver's seat, not to speed, but to know this road is narrow, but the steering wheel is mine. Other people's emotions are road signs, not the steering wheel. Tonight, if you're lying there listening, and a few faces come to mind, people who praised you, people who criticized you, people who left you, can try something very small. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Ask yourself, if I didn't use any of their words to define me, what would I see about myself? At first, your mind might go blank. That's okay. You can start with the smallest things. I know I've really tried not to hurt people, even though I sometimes still do. I know I've made it all the way here, through everything, and I'm still here, listening to something to understand myself better. That alone is enough reason to respect myself a little more. You don't need to build a statue of yourself. You just need to stop demolishing your own house with every cold sentence someone throws at you. When your self-worth is no longer hanging from other people's moods, something strange and beautiful happens. You start taking things less personally, naturally, not because you've gone numb, but because inside you have a clearer place to stand. Whether someone is having a good day or a bad one is their story first. Who I am and how I'm trying, I'll look at that through my whole journey, not just through one sentence they said today. From that place, you can see the jokes, the times you were forgotten, the blunt messages. As waves, the water that touches your feet is still cold, but it doesn't sweep you away anymore. And slowly, you realize you don't need everyone to always be gentle with you in order to have the right to feel at peace. You can be at peace because you know who you are. You know you're not perfect, but you're moving, changing, learning to live better. The people who truly value you will sense that and stay. The ones who can't see it or don't want to may leave, but by then, their leaving will no longer be proof that you are unworthy. It will just be a comma in a long sentence that you are still walking out. When your self-image has become a bit steadier, when your boundaries are calmer, when you know how to pause before you react, then the jokes, the dry messages, the times you're forgotten will no longer drag you through an entire sleepless night like before. In the final part, we'll return to the very first scene, the small comment, the short message, that sting in your chest, and see how the newer version of you, who understands yourself a little better now, might sit with those moments in a very different way. Let's go back to the beginning for a moment. Tonight, everything started from something very small, an over-the-line joke, a blunt, clipped message, one time being forgotten from a hangout, and you lying in bed, the light from your phone screen spilling onto the ceiling, with a nameless ache sitting in your chest. Before, the story might have gone like this. You read the message. Your heart skips a beat. Your mind switches to replay mode, magnifying and blaming yourself. The whole evening loops on one scene. It's probably my fault. You fall asleep feeling both hurt and small, and angry at yourself for being too sensitive. Tonight, after everything we've walked through together, let's rebuild that scene one more time. But with the version of you now, the version that understands yourself a little better. You're still in the same familiar room, still the same old phone, still the same chat window. A notification pops up. You open it. It's a line that stings you. Maybe a joke, maybe a cold reply, maybe a careless comment. In a split second, your body reacts just like always. Your heart tightens, your stomach tenses, your chest feels heavy. But unlike before, now you notice it. In your mind, instead of only, "Oh no, what did I do wrong?" another line appears. I'm triggered right now. You don't scold yourself. Here I go, being sensitive again. You simply name it, like noticing a younger version of you walking into the room. Yeah, I see you. You're that familiar ache. Just that. And the first wave of pain is no longer invisible. You put your phone down beside your pillow, still lying on your back, eyes on the ceiling. You take a slow breath in, silently counting to 4. Hold it. Exhale, counting to 6. In that breath, you're not trying to feel less sad, and you're not forcing yourself to get over it. You're simply sending your body a small signal. It's okay. This is just a line of text on a screen. I am safe. It's only that something inside hurts a little. You take a few more breaths until the sting softens from level 9 down to around 6-7. It still hurts, but it's no longer the kind of pain that sweeps everything else away. You slowly pick your phone back up. This time, before letting your mind run, you gently ask yourself, what is the fact? What story am I adding on top? The fact is only, they texted, yeah, I know, or they said, your life doesn't even have anything worth talking about. The story you're adding might be, they look down on me, they're tired of me, I really am useless, just like they say. You don't deny the feeling of being hit, but you begin to see. That line is the event. The long-lasting pain comes mostly from the judgment. The way you translate and enlarge that line in your head, you breathe out slowly, as if you've just caught your mind sneaking a few extra pages into the script. Then you remember what you've learned about the people on the other side of the screen. You ask yourself, who are they today? What are they bringing into this conversation? Maybe it's exhaustion, maybe it's stress, maybe it's their own old wounds. They use that kind of joke or that tone of voice, not necessarily because you deserve it, but because that's how they speak to the world, even to themselves. You're not excusing them, but you're also no longer turning everything into a verdict on your worth. You remind yourself of a line you heard somewhere. What they say reveals more about their state than about your worth. Tonight, that line doesn't feel like just a quote on a screen anymore. It feels like a small float you're holding on to. Maybe you choose not to respond right away. You set the phone aside, Stay still and let the feeling move through you like a wave. Come gives touch, gives recede. You remind yourself, their mood is their story first. Who I am is not going to be decided by one sentence at 11 p.m. If tomorrow, when things are calmer, you still feel it needs to be addressed, you might text, "Hey, yesterday, when you said your life doesn't even have anything worth talking about, I know you were joking, but that kind of joke really gets to me. Can we not joke like that?" If they apologize, if they adjust, you can smile, realizing some people do want to stay, and they're willing to stay in a better way. If they brush it off and say, "You're overreacting," you don't have to fight to prove your point. You simply log one more piece of data. Okay, this is where my boundary gets hit. This person's place in my life probably needs to move back a little. No need to burn the bridge. But you also stop putting them at the center. On this journey, the most important thing is not making everyone around you more perfect, more gentle, more correct. That's outside your reach. What matters is that you stop treating yourself like a target. For every emotion, you begin telling yourself, very calmly, I am not a dumping ground for other people's moods. You don't need to shout it, you just need to believe it enough so that when something happens, you remember to step half a pace back. You also remember that your worth does not live entirely inside anyone's temporary kindness. You are not lovable today just because someone talks sweetly to you, and worthless tomorrow just because they go cold. You've made it here, through tired days and nights of replaying old words. And you're still gentle enough to sit and listen to a quiet voice in the dark, trying to explain things to you in a kind way. That alone is already a kind of strength, not loud, not flashy, but real. Tonight, if there's a line that still feels stuck in your chest, you can do something very small before you sleep. Place your hand on your chest, where your heart is still beating. Close your eyes. Repeat that sentence once more, word for word, then ask yourself quietly, does this sentence really say everything about me? If you're honest, the answer is usually no. It just hits one of my fears. I am more than that. You can add another line, very softly, as if whispering to your 15 or 16-year-old self, who might still be crying somewhere in your past. It's okay. I know this feeling, but I'm not going to let one sentence from today rewrite my whole story anymore. If you'd like, we can use a few very gentle affirmations, like small stones laid along the path, not to erase the pain, but to remind you that you're not walking alone. You can repeat them silently, or just listen. I am not what people say in a bad moment. I am what I choose to do every day. I am not only the harsh things people say about me at my worst moment. I am the choices I keep making day after day. I can care deeply and still protect my boundaries. I'm allowed to care a lot about others and still keep my limits safe. Their mood is their weather. I don't have to rain inside just because it's raining outside. Their emotional weather can storm all it wants. I don't have to flood my own mind just to match it. I am allowed to be sensitive and still be strong. My sensitivity is not the opposite of strength. It's a part of it. You don't have to believe these 100% right away. Just let them stand beside those old, self-blaming lines, so that slowly, the voice inside you begins to change. Marcus Aurelius has a very gentle line. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your happiness, or at least the quietness of nights like this, doesn't depend on everyone outside speaking to you softly and perfectly. It depends much more on which thoughts you choose to believe about yourself, and whether you pause long enough to stop random words from turning into knives in your own hands tonight. You've traveled from only knowing how to blame yourself, to being able to name your feelings, to creating pauses, to separating event and judgment, to seeing that people mostly act from their own stories, to saying no to jokes that go too far, and to looking at yourself with a slightly kinder gaze that's not a short distance. Now, we come back to your room. You're lying in bed. Your phone screen may already be dark. The light in the room is soft. Maybe there's still a faint sting when you think of a few lines from today. That's okay, but this time, instead of letting them drag you through the whole night, you let them drift like leaves on the surface of water, arriving, touching, then moving on. You don't reach out and grab each one. You don't pull them all to your chest. You just lie there, watching them float past, knowing that beneath that moving water, there is a solid ground. You've started to rebuild your values, your boundaries, and your right to your own peace in a moment. When this voice grows quieter and there's only slow, steady music in the background, you don't need to think anything else. You don't need to fix every relationship in one night. You don't need to solve every "why are they like this?" question. You are allowed to leave those questions outside the door, at least for tonight. You only need to keep one small thing to take into sleep. Tomorrow, when a sentence hits me, I'll try to remember to pause for half a second, to breathe, to see whose story it really belongs to, and to stop turning everything into a verdict on my worth. Just that is already a huge change. Now, if you'd like, adjust your body into the most comfortable position. Pull the blanket up a little higher. Let your shoulders soften. Let your forehead relax. Let your chest loosen where it's been tight. Allow your eyes to close. Slowly. The music behind all of this will carry the rest of the conversation away, leaving in your room only your breath, your heartbeat, and a very quiet knowing. You are not a target for all of other people's emotions. You don't have to understand everything to be allowed to feel at peace. Tonight, you only need to give yourself permission to fall asleep with gentleness toward yourself, and the rest can wait until tomorrow.